Northern India, 25 centuries ago, a young man named Ambaṭṭha stands in front of the Buddha, arrogant, sneering. The Buddha asks him a simple question, a fair one. Ambaṭṭha refuses to answer. The Buddha asks again, calm, patient. Ambaṭṭha refuses a second time, and then the Buddha says something terrifyingly calm. He mentions an old warning. Refuse a Buddha's fair question. A third time, and your head splits into 7 pieces. Ambaṭṭha says nothing. Then he looks up. Hanging in the empty air above him, visible to him, and to the Buddha alone, stands a massive figure, burning, a thunderbolt raised, waiting for the third refusal. This is Vajrapāṇi. His name means exactly what you just saw. Vajra in hand, the one who holds the thunderbolt. And this is one of the most frightening figures. In the earliest Buddhist texts, tradition says he never left the Buddha's side. Greek sculptors later carved him with the body of a hero. You already know. And an entire branch of Buddhism still carries his weapon in its name. But here's the question. Sitting underneath all of this, the Buddha taught nonviolence. He walked into hostile kingdoms unarmed. He talked murderers out of murder. So why does the most peaceful man in history need a protector? By the end of this, you'll know the answer. And you'll probably realize you've already met this being. You just never knew his name. Across Mahayana and Vajrayāna Buddhism, 3 great Bodhisattvas stand together. Avalokiteśvara, compassion itself. Mañjuśrī, wisdom itself, the one with the flaming sword. And a third, almost nobody in the West can name. Vajrapāṇi, power itself. He carries a weapon whose name means 2 things at once. Thunderbolt and diamond. Hold on to that. The whole story hides inside it. The early texts give him a title before they give him any glory. Guhyaka, the hidden one. The protector nobody sees. Until the one moment. Somebody has to. To understand what he became, you need to know what he started as. Because Vajrapāṇi began lower than any god. He was a yaka, a nature spirit. From ancient India, the kind of being villagers left offerings for. So the harvest wouldn't fail. So the traveler would make it home. Powerful, unpredictable, the kind of thing you feared meeting on a dark road at night. That's where he started. A spirit from the wild edges of the map. But he refused to stay ordinary. Even there, later tradition raised him from one yaka among many into a lord of yakas. Some old commentaries go even further. They connect him to Sakka, king of the gods, the thunder wielder of the Indian heavens. That detail comes back later, with lightning attached, and some legends place him at the very beginning. The night a young prince, named Siddhartha, slipped past the palace guards and rode into the darkness to become the Buddha. Vajrapāṇi was already there, hidden from the very first night. Think about elite protection today. Presidents have security details, but the truly skilled ones are the ones no camera ever catches. The best bodyguard on earth is the one you never see. In a single photograph, the Buddha had one who never slept, never blinked, and stood entirely outside the reach of human sight, which only makes it stranger. Kings hired soldiers. Emperors built walls. The teacher of nonviolence walked across India, shadowed by raw, elemental power. Why? Why does peace need a protector? The texts answer with a scene, the one we open with. Let's go back to that field. In northern India, this time, you get the whole story. Ambaṭṭha was young, brilliant, and completely unbearable. A star student of a famous teacher, who sent him to evaluate the Buddha. Ambaṭṭha arrived, carrying his teacher's prestige, and treated the Buddha's entire clan, the Sakyans, with open contempt. He called them rough, menial, beneath him. So the Buddha asked him a question about his own family line. Because the Buddha knew something, old records suggested Ambaṭṭha's own ancestry traced back to a Sakyan servant woman. The proud man, insulting the Sakyans, carried Sakyan blood himself. By his own logic of caste and birth, that made him lower than the people. He was mocking. Answer honestly, and his whole sense of status collapses. So Ambaṭṭha went silent. The Buddha asked again. Silence. And the Buddha, with that same terrifying calm, reminded him of the old warning. Refuse a fair question 3 times, and your head splits into 7 pieces. Ambaṭṭha looked up and saw him, Vajrapāṇi, blazing in the empty sky, thunderbolt raised. The old text says, only 2 people could see him, Ambaṭṭha and the Buddha. Ambaṭṭha answered the question immediately, and here's the real point of the whole scene. The Buddha told him that the ancestor he was so ashamed of, the son of that servant woman, had actually become a great sage. He was dismantling the entire idea that birth decides anything at all. The story ends with the Buddha's verdict. Where you come from means nothing next to how you live and what you understand. Now notice what the Buddha actually did in that scene. Nothing. He made no threat. He summoned no one. He asked a question and stated a fact, the way you might mention gravity to someone leaning over the edge of a cliff. Vajrapāṇi wasn't a bodyguard. In that moment, he was something bigger. The consequence of refusing truth, given a shape, the universe itself, standing quietly behind a fair question. And this wasn't his only rescue. Years later, the Buddha's own cousin, a man who tried to destroy him, hurled a boulder down a mountainside, aiming straight for where the Buddha sat. One tradition says Vajrapāṇi shattered it in midair. A rock the size of a cart turned to gravel before it landed. You already know this force. You've heard it before. A parent sees their child run toward oncoming traffic, and their voice changes, drops, hardens, becomes something the child has never heard, and the child stops. That force in the voice is love, with its teeth showing. Maybe this fierce power and the Buddha's peace were never opposites at all. For centuries, that's all he was. The unseen shadow, the blazing figure in the sky. Then Buddhism reached a kingdom that Alexander the Great had once marched through. Greek culture stayed behind. Long after his army left, Greek cities, Greek coins, generations of sculptors trained in the Greek way of carving the human body. And when Buddhism arrived there, it handed these artists an impossible job. Give the hidden one a face. How do you carve a body? For pure protective force? The sculptors reached for an image their own culture already had. The strongest protector in the Greek world, the hero who strangled a lion with his bare hands and wore its skin as armor, Heracles. So that's what they carved. Walk through certain museums today, and you'll see it. Vajrapāṇi, with Heracles' beard, Heracles' muscle, Heracles' lion skin, standing guard beside the Buddha, a borrowed body for a being too vast to picture on his own. Now that word, I asked you to remember. Vajra. Time to open it up. One word, 2 meanings. The thunderbolt, the force that destroys everything it touches, and the diamond, the one substance nothing can destroy. Total destruction, total indestructibility. In a single word. As Mahayana Buddhism grew, Vajrapāṇi grew with it. The nature spirit became a full Bodhisattva, an awakened being who stays in the world for the sake of everyone still trapped in it. The bodyguard days were over. He became a guardian of the teaching itself. Then came Tantra, the esoteric path, and the tradition reached for a name that could hold its entire promise. A path fast as lightning, producing a realization hard as diamond. They called it Vajrayana, the Thunderbolt vehicle. The spirit who started as an unseen bodyguard now gave his name to an entire path toward awakening. And in later texts, he earns one more title, Guhyaka, Lord of Secrets, Keeper of the Hidden Teachings. Notice the echo. Centuries earlier, they called him the Hidden One. Now he's the Lord of everything hidden. The oldest thing they ever called him. Sounds like prophecy. Now one story the Tantric tradition tells. Fair warning, it's the strangest scene. In this whole video, Tantric Buddhism often speaks in symbols. It retells older imagery, the way dreams turn inner conflict into gods, demons, and battles in the sky. Keep that in mind for what comes next. One old Tantric text describes the moment a new cosmic order is born. Every god in the universe is summoned to a great gathering. Every single one comes, except one, Maheśvara, also known as Shiva, one of the supreme gods of the Indian cosmos. He looks at the summons and refuses. Why should the greatest of gods bow to anything? So Vajrapāṇi is sent to bring him, and Vajrapāṇi kills him. The former bodyguard destroys one of the mightiest gods in existence, pride itself, at cosmic scale, brought down by the guardian of awakening. But the story doesn't end there. Maheśvara's life passes through death into another realm entirely, and there, he wakes up. He becomes a Buddha. Scholars who study this myth read it as a story about ego, even cosmic pride. In the end, can become awakening, even destruction. In this tradition, turns into transformation. The bodyguard had become bigger than the gods he once stood beside. And then, one final scene, the one that breaks your heart. The Buddha lies dying between two trees. Vajrapāṇi, the one who followed him through hostile kingdoms, who shattered falling boulders, is losing him. And tradition says, the being who shattered stone in midair, who once brought a god to his knees, drops his thunderbolt in the dust and falls beside it. In despair, the one enemy no protector can stop had finally come. All that power, and he could do nothing. A protector who grieves, a weapon lying in the dust. Which brings us back to the question hanging over everything. Why does a religion of compassion keep a being like this at all? Everything frightening. In this story, the warning about a splitting head, the raised thunderbolt, the fangs and flames of his fiercest form, the tradition files, all of it, under a single word: compassion. Stay with me, because this is the real revelation. The fierce guardians of Buddhism, and Vajrapāṇi stands at the front of them, embody one specific idea: wrath, as compassion's emergency form, the shape love takes when gentleness can't reach you in time. Think of a moment in your own life. Someone's anger actually protected you. A warning shout, a hard truth you didn't want to hear, a door slammed shut right before you walked into something dangerous. Was that anger? Or was that love moving too fast to look gentle? Sit with that for a second. Now look at what his symbols actually mean. The thunderbolt crushes ignorance. The flames burn away attachment. The fury is aimed at delusion, at the machinery of suffering itself. His anger has a target list, and you were never on it. A firefighter kicks down a burning door, an axe through the wood, splinters flying, total violence against that door, and from inside the fire, that violence looks like rescue. Because it is rescue. That's the wrathful principle. When someone is trapped in a burning building, in a delusion, in a life collapsing around them, gentleness through a locked door saves no one. Some doors need the axe. Tibet understood this centuries before we did. Across the Himalayas, the three great bodhisattvas travel as a set, enshrined together at crossroads and gateways. Avalokiteśvara, Mañjuśrī, Vajrapāṇi, compassion, wisdom, power, one family. Every culture that ever put lightning in a god's hand made that god a king. Zeus ruled with it, Indra reigned with it. But Buddhism's thunderbolt kneels, the mightiest weapon in the cosmos, in permanent service to wisdom and compassion. So the question finally answers itself. Why does the most peaceful man in history need a protector? Because peace, real peace, is under attack in every human life. Fear attacks it. So does pride. Ask Ambaṭṭha. So does everything that hunts a mind trying to wake up. His terror has a direction. He frightens the things that destroy people. Not you. Never you. Only the things wearing your face while they tear you apart from the inside. Maybe that's what real protection has always looked like. Not the absence of fierceness, but fierceness finally aimed at the right thing. One last question. If he's this important, one of the three great bodhisattvas, the namesake of an entire path, why have you never heard of him? You already have an answer, sitting in your own camera roll. at many great temples. Across Asia, there's a gate, and flanking that gate stand two colossal guardians. Muscled, wrathful, frozen mid-threat, tourists photograph them by the millions. Every single year, they belong to the same lineage. That flows from the Thunderbolt bearer. Look closer at their faces. One guardian's mouth is open, the other's is closed. The first sound a mouth can make, and the last, birth and death, and him guarding everything in between. Across China, Nepal, and the Himalayas, this fierce figure keeps appearing. At thresholds, everywhere Buddhism traveled, he took his post. At the door, if you've ever stood at a temple gate, anywhere in Asia, you've already met him. You walked right past the bearer of the Thunderbolt, and he let you through. Look at the whole arc of his story. A village spirit from the dark roads of ancient India, Lord of the Hidden Ones, the Buddha's invisible shadow, given the body of a hero by foreign hands, his weapon written into the name of an entire path, his thunderbolt dropped in the dust at the very end. Even now, across the Himalayas, practitioners still call on him with 3 syllables. O Vajrapāṇi, the mantra of power itself, recited for protection, for courage, for the strength to face what hunts you. He picked the thunderbolt back up 25 centuries later. He's still at the gate, still holding it, still facing outward toward the dark. Gates get guardians because what's inside is worth protecting, and this one kept his post.